Hey, everybody.
What's up?
Yes, that was a good,
Right,
that was a
classic.
good introduction. Classic, delicate yet delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome to GameVerse Pub. We have a special episode today. I say that for every episode. They're all special.
Yeah, they
Huh?
are.
Of course.
Why
'cause
wouldn't they be?
I don't know. If you know the answer, please write in the comments. But anyways, really a special episode because we're here. We're here and we have beer.
Oh, yeah.
And we were ready to craft game talk. That's why it's called GameVerse Pub, crafting game talk,
Nice.
right?
Nice.
And today we're going to talk about Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the SNES.
Yeah, the SNES, as they call it.
Yeah, some call it that. Some call it SNES. Some call it the Super Nintendo Entertainment Center. Entertainment System.
You want to try that one again?
Yeah. This. Okay, let's redo this. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Okay.
Some call it the Super Nint.
Yeah.
Some call it
I
Super
did call
Nintendo.
it the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Even being French, we still call it le Super Nint. T'as-tu un Super Nint?
Yeah.
No, on va te jouer au Super Nint.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we used to say. So, it's very simple what we're going to do. Eventually, we'll do a more in-depth episode about the Super Nint.
Of course.
But today, we just thought we'd whip out the actual one we have here and go through the games I had as a kid. Yeah. The nice yellowish SNES.
Yeah, it is. It is.
See,
It
it's
always
original
takes
color.
that fade, right? Every Super Nintendo that you see is gonna have a little taint of yellow.
No, actually.
Really?
So I've talked to somebody who's a big collector of SNES games, and I was telling him about the fact that I have a yellowish Super Nint,
Okay.
and he said that that's apparently the good ones. Like there was a certain batch, like at a certain point, like the main ones they made, you can know that they have a certain chip or something. Like I don't. Maybe talking out of my ass here, I'm saying what I heard.
Okay.
Right? So there's more to it, and maybe I didn't hear right, but something about that being a really good version of the Super Nintendo.
Nice. And you know what? I think it would be good that we put it there for now and talk about it when we do the actual SNES episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or SNESisode.
Yeah. There we go. This guy.
So yeah, so we'll be talking about this, going through the games I played and see where the conversation leads us. But before we do all that, there's one thing that I deem very important to be able to survive.
Yeah.
You know
What
what
is
that
it?
is? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's hydration.
Hydration.
Very important. And I happen to have one of my friends, nay, best friend, who's a hydration expert over here.
Dad Gab.
He goes there. Nice. Kyle, replay what I said in the last episode with Gab.
Nay,
Here.
best friend.
Yeah, take that.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we got a beer that was provided by the host, yours truly, Shawn, and it's Trois Brasseurs Amber beer.
Yes. Ambré in French.
Yeah. So, fun fact about Les Trois Brasseurs, while some of the locations have started in the province of Quebec, Les Trois Brasseurs is actually French. From France.
No way.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
It is. And now there's also a few, I know at least one location that's in Ottawa. So, yeah.
The Three Brewers.
Exactly.
in the
Yeah,
market.
they do call it the Three Brewers.
Yeah.
I think it's on
No, it's not
Sparks.
on the market. Yeah, it's on Sparks. It is on Sparks.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we got this amber beer, and you know what? Like almost every time that I go to the Three Brewers, and at some point, I did go to the Three Brewers, the one in Ottawa, and it's mostly the beer that I get. It's just
This one right here?
Yeah, exactly that same beer.
I usually get the meter with the samples on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool too. Anyways, so
Let's get cracking.
yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is a really nice color.
Yeah, nice amber color. That's why they call it the amber, I guess. Huh?
I guess that's why they call it that. Nice. That was a good one.
Cheers, my friend.
Okay, cheers, my friend. D. Don't wait for it. Delicious.
It's very malty, very caramel taste.
Very caramel taste that for... Is it weird to say that I taste like an iron
There's something
There's something I can't put my hand on.
honestly, I've had their beers at their brewery, and it was better than this beer in the can.
It's on tap, right?
Yes.
Less travel.
Also fresh. You don't know how long it's been in the can.
Yeah.
But no, still good. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, well, thank you for presenting it and for that fun fact. How about we get started talking about this Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
So, what I'd like to do is go through the games that I had and played as a kid and just, see where the conversation takes us.
Sounds good.
That's what crafting game talk is all about.
it is.
Okay, so the first one I have here, well, you know what? Right here. Classic Super Mario World.
It's a classic.
I did an episode with G, the geek who loves to talk.
Yep.
Who already that episode, probably by the time they all air, they all get published, it will have been published prior to this one. So please refer to this. Comments are in links are in to that episode are in the comments. And yeah, so we talk about that, but we can still say a quick word about it. My favorite game of all time, of all games,
All time.
all games. At some point I thought it was Fallout
Okay.
4.
Okay.
But
I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on that game right now.
yeah,
The top game.
of all of the games that I've played.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the one I keep going back to.
And is this based on nostalgia? Is there a mix of being great? I know you've played Horizon Zero Dawn and that you absolutely devoured that game.
They will all have their thing, but there's no game that I will replay more than this one in my entire life.
Wow. There you have it, folks.
And a lot of nostalgia. I remember as a kid, my mom playing this. And I remember when she would try to get Mario to jump, she would do this with her remote. And I would laugh all the time, right? So anyways, so that special connections in that way are what helped tie me very strongly to this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, and you're talking about the remote just flying in the air, and it kind of reminds me. Everybody had those gaming little habits, right? And you were talking about your mom just like throwing the manette in the air.
Yeah.
Well, everybody had like those little weird little habits when they were playing video games, right? Some people would just like stick their tongue out or like,
bite their tongue. Or you know what I do if I get mad? I throw the manette. These controllers have hit the bulby glass unbreakable TV screens we had. Yeah, they've hit those a lot.
You know what? That's actually impressive that they're still
Hardware back then, right?
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was never a manette thrower. Maybe in the couch. Maybe like I would always stop.
All right, so exactly. Now, why don't we go through the other games? So we talked about Super Mario World very quickly. I really loved that game. Like you said, did you play it a lot?
I did play it a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was a game that everybody owned. I don't know if it came with the actual Nintendo, but I think that it was the first game that my parents bought with the Super Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah.
Me, it was Super Mario Kart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the first game that I remember. I was at my grandparents' place, and it was a Christmas, and I got the Super Nintendo, and it was Super Mario Kart, the first game that I played. Then Super Mario World came.
Is the next game Super Mario Kart?
I guess it will be. It's right here. So let's. Ah, man. Okay. Yeah. So it will be. So, but just to finish on that one, I've been streaming it with G and even alone on our Twitch channel for the past few things, and I could restream this over and over and over and over again. You were I think you were the only viewer the other day.
I was.
Yeah.
I was, and it was a very good stream. I mean, you folks should, everyone should check it out.
Thank you.
Download Twitch, and it's cool because when you follow the page on Twitch, you can actually get like email notifications that hey, GameVerse Pub is streaming live.
Really?
Yeah.
So when I went live, you got a notification that said it?
I got an email that said it. I didn't see the email until a few hours later.
Oh, okay,
and then I joined
okay.
in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even know. That shows how much I know about it. But anyways, been trying to stream thing, and this and Star Fox 64 been streaming. But that game is just so fun and
It's fun to watch also.
brings back so many memories, and you get to know them, and then there's the levels that are more that you always had more difficulty with, and
The soundtracks. Wow, eh?
that's what
Like,
gets you in most games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nostalgia behind music is crazy. That's how they get you.
it is.
How they
It
get you.
is.
All right, so next game here, Super Mario Kart.
Super Mario Kart.
Yeah, so we got this one right here.
Yeah.
Which was did you know it was the first ever Mario Kart game that ever existed?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Think about it. At the NES, there's no kart game
Yeah.
of Mario.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. And you know what? I bought Mario Kart Circuit on Game Boy Advance. That was the first Mario Kart game that I wouldn't say that I played, but that I owned.
Okay.
I was never a fan of Mario Kart, but I still bought it on the Game Boy, and it was pretty good. It was pretty decent.
Okay.
And then after that, on the Switch, I started playing
Mario Kart 8.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess maybe because I had started sim racing again, then I found it more fun, and I kind of got into it.
You can see the racing lines.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's just the fun of racing.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, well, it wasn't as fun. Just I don't know. I didn't understand racing as much as I do now.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Which, by the way, sim racing, I don't know if that episode will air before or after this one. But anyways, we're doing a sim racing episode whenever it comes. If it came already, well, then there you go. Did you
Stay
like it?
tuned.
Write in the
Check our
comments.
links. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do everything.
Yeah, that's what happens. So you never played this one?
I have never. I have played this one, but I've never owned it.
Okay, no attachment. For me, the music of that is nostalgic.
No, not as much memories for me.
Okay. Were there other racing games you played that you owned? Whether it was a spaceship or whatever?
My brother was a racing fan when we were younger.
Okay.
He used to have Gran Turismo 1, Gran Turismo 2.
What consoles were those on?
I think Gran Turismo 1 was on the PlayStation 1 and Gran Turismo 2 on the PS2. Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong. But he did have both of them, and he had the steering. And
Really?
But back then, you had the steering go under your thighs. And then
Under your thighs?
yeah, and then it would stick on the couch. Like, it would come in between your legs.
No way.
Yeah, then you had your pedals on the ground, but the weight of your thighs would keep the steering on your lap.
Cool.
Yeah. So he had that, but I never played it. I was never a fan. I played a little bit of Gran Turismo.
Like he didn't let you play your brother?
No.
Or-
He let me play. I tried to play it,
Okay.
but I never got into it. I would always crash. I just
Wasn't your
didn't-
thing.
I didn't understand racing.
As much as you do now.
Exactly.
Boom.
Full circle.
All right. Okay, cool. Any other you played? All right. So next game here is Captain America and the Avengers.
Nice.
Did you ever play this?
I have played it with you, but I
Really?
did not own that
When?
game. Jeez, you're asking a good question.
Did I live here?
Yeah, you lived here.
Okay,
you lived
okay,
here.
so it
The
was-
TV was there, and you had a couch.
Good times.
Yeah.
Why did we start a podcast? I had to get rid of the couch. Dude. Oh, well. Anyways,
Yeah.
couch or podcast?
But there are no other choices.
Exactly.
But let me tell you what I think about these games. I've always liked those type of games where you just move along the screen and you have the bad guys. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Dude, yeah. Or Ninja Turtles.
Or Ninja Turtles, exactly.
Yeah, the side, how would you call it? A side scroller?
Yeah.
I
think
action
it
side
is.
scroller?
Yeah.
There's terms. Kyle, please say what it's called. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've always loved those games. So anytime that I can play something like that, well, it's just very nice.
All right, cool. I thought it was very, very difficult. I played a lot, like it was always with somebody, right? With people. Because I had, for a while, my SNES at my babysitter's place, right? And it was like in a house. So we would always play. And this one was so tough because you die and then you could respawn as a different Avenger. There was like, who was there? There was Captain America for sure, because that's the name of the game. There was
Human Torch? Is there?
I remember there was Hawkman, but I don't even see him on the cassette. There was Iron Man. Oh, I think there was Silver Surfer. They're not even on there. That's weird.
Okay.
I'm sure there was Silver Surfer. That was my favorite one. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was Hawkman. Yeah, anyways. So, very fun game, but so difficult. I was never able to get good at it.
Yeah.
So, I'd want to replay it just to see how difficult it was and see how far we can get. But it's these type of games, right? Where as soon as you're game over, you have to start from the complete beginning, which that's super discouraging. That's why emulation is awesome at our age. We earned emulation to like be able to have a save state and to continue on a game because you know what, like we don't have that time.
Yep. And I find that these type of games, they're button smashers. Like that's
Yeah.
all you do. You jump and you hit. Like that.
Turn
Yeah,
turn to the
exactly.
side because the enemy is on left or right. Yeah.
You're always smashing the button. So,
Yeah.
yeah. It does get old. Well, not old. It
It does get old quick.
Yeah, it does get old quick.
Yeah, back then it didn't because it was so new. But now with everything, like having to replay these games, if you don't have nostalgia to keep you kind of liking it, okay, well, once I played a few stages, they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
They just get a little harder
And
or
you
a
know
different
what?
setting. And
Yeah, and that's how the games nowadays are done. You know, those quick cell phone games that you can just log in, do a little bit of missions for like 15 minutes, then set it aside.
Yeah.
Like our attention span has gone down clearly because we can't focus on one game specifically. We'll just go on to the next one.
what? Yeah, you're completely right. Games have changed, but hey, that's retro gaming. So, but I'm finding a vibe within retro gaming lately with doing this whole podcast and talking a lot about it and engaging with people that like it. And I'm and doing our GameVerse Club thing where we're trying new games or we're spinning that wheel to see if we can have a new game. I almost always hope we don't pick my game because I want to try something new. And doing this through the GameVerse Club, well, I get to play a game that I'm not hooked by nostalgia with, but I have another reason to play it because I have less of a willingness to play a retro game that I've never played if there's no other goal to it because I'll just compare it to what I do know now and it's not as good. So and by doing what we're doing, I'm sort of getting to see retro gaming in a different lens now. Now, I almost don't even need us to play these games to be able to want to play a retro game or to see it through. But again, I want to do it through emulation and with save states because I don't want to be stuck in the same like I said, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
I want to move on.
Yeah.
I wish I had Ninja Turtles game.
Yeah.
I never had it. Always was one that I had to play somewhere else. I
Okay.
wasn't into renting the SNES games era. I was into renting the N64 games era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if I had other NES, SNES games I've played were at other people's houses.
Oh, interesting. You know what? I was a big fan of renting games. Sometimes when
These
there
games?
was renting games at the video
Video.
store.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a big thing for me, and that's where I want to get to. One of the things I wanted to talk when presenting the games is the type of games that you would rent from a video store, and specifically the movie-based games. SNES was I don't remember if they did that on the first Nintendo Entertainment System, but SNES had some movie games. They had Home Alone. They
That's
did Back to the
right.
Future, Jurassic Park. There was some great movie game, Lion King, Jungle Book, or like there was so many. Jungle Book might have been on the Game Gear, but there's so many games based off movies now, and I mean it just exploded in terms of it's the same thing. You follow the movie, and it's kind of like a side scroller. Very interesting. I love those games, but that's the only time that I would play them is if I went to the video store and I rented them for, let's say, a long weekend or something.
Yeah. And then you'd play them because you paid for it and you only had a certain amount of days to play it. So you wanted to play. You had motivation to do it, right?
Yeah, you wanted to finish it.
And it was so exciting because it was new technology back then.
It was. It was
Okay,
a
cool,
great time.
cool. Well, there you go. So you're younger than me of a year and you were in the era, I guess you didn't have an N64. You had this, right? So that's why you rented these games. And you weren't in the N64 era of renting games because you didn't have one.
I had a PlayStation 1 when
Did you rent those?
I did.
Okay.
Not as much, I think. I was mostly playing NHL.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right. So move on to the next game.
Absolutely.
All right. So next game here we have Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island. I've never finished that game. I think I remember playing it, but I never finished it.
Yeah. With the baby Mario that when Yoshi loses it,
Yeah.
he like there's a timer and then the baby cries and it creates all this stress. It prepared me to be a parent. I have to be honest with you.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, I was less stressed. I knew what to do. The baby crying, just fucking jump in the air and try to break the bubble.
Well, you know what? Nintendo, you should be proud. You made good parents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank Nintendo.
Thank you, Nintendo. Officially, thank you, Nintendo. Shout out to Nintendo here.
Yeah.
Making us better parents since 1995. When was this game? It doesn't matter. All right. So, yeah, great game. If we were to, when we will do a SNES episode, we'll do probably a top 5 of everybody's favorite SNES games. This one will be in my top 5. I can guarantee.
Wow.
You know this one is number 1 because it's my favorite game of all time.
Exactly.
But this will be in my top 5 for absolute sure. I played it hunting
Okay.
when I went hunting this year.
On the Miu?
No, on my iPad.
Oh, wow.
Emulation, right?
Yeah.
So, and I had my the one I bought from Nintendo, my N64 remote controller that I connected to my iPad, used doing the emulation, and I played this. And there's a picture. Kyle, show the picture because I sent it to you. Yeah, there you go. There's a picture. If you can see it, you see. I'm there. I have a beer with me. I'm near camp, looking at the beaver dam and the long swamp. I just had the iPad there hanging on a chair. And just playing and had my crossbow right near if there
Cool.
ever and I just
Yeah,
had
that's
a
awesome.
good night. It was kind of I was hunted well and I wanted a night off, but instead of having it where we're not hunting at all, we might as well just go near where a moose might come.
Yeah.
And played that game for the whole evening, for 2 evenings straight.
Nice.
Because I needed a little break, and that's the way I had it. Had a few beers. I remember I was drinking at one point was the McTavish from
Yeah.
who makes the McTavish? Is it Unibrew?
Trou du Diable.
Trou du Diable.
Yeah.
Trou du Diable makes the McTavish. That was one of them that I had.
That's why you got a beer guy over here, right?
That's why you have a beer guy to tell us. So, anyways, I'll bring out this photo because we're not seeing it right now, but Kyle showed it. Just great moment playing that game.
Nice.
So I wanted to bring that up.
That's cool. And you know what? It's a recent nostalgic moment.
It's a recent nostalgia. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing, isn't it?
Really great moment. I think I sent you guys the picture, or no? Didn't I? I intended to.
I don't recall.
I was really busy, and just there's a lot of things going on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right, so we move on. Great game.
Great game.
NHL 96.
Wow. NHL.
Yeah.
Were there other NHL games on the SNES before this one?
I think there was NHL. When did it start? Was it 94?
It might have been 94.
Kyle, fact check. 94 or 95?
I think it's 94. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was with Scott Stevens at center, Scott Stevens and Steve Yzerman on the front.
Scott Stevens was in that center. I can tell you that, buddy.
Not center, captain. Yeah, he was a defense. What am I saying? He was a defense. He was captain because there's the 2 captains here. If you want to look at it,
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, great game. And you know what? That paved the way for one of the best games that I've played throughout my life. I've always had NHL throughout the years. I've missed a few years here and there, but yeah, can't get sick of NHL games.
You know what I'd like to do? I'd like for us both to do our own personal rendition of EA Sports. It's in the game.
Sure. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so that's my camera. That's yours. So would you like to go first?
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Dude, that was pretty solid.
Not bad.
I don't want to follow that. Nope, I'm going to sound like shit. This was good enough. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we got it. It's good. But for the record, EA Sports. It's in the game. No, yours was better.
Solid though.
Yeah, thank you.
So-
But yours was better. I vote you. All right. So great game. I played that one a lot. I think it's going to be one of my top 5. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to debate on this because
Wow.
I played it a lot.
Yeah.
Right. I was always the Sens. I was always a Sens fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Alfredson was there on that line. There was I think Yashin.
Oh.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah. And was there Daniel Briere? No, not Daniel Briere.
No.
Who was drafted first again?
What team?
For the Sens, and it was a big flop.
Yashin. A Daigle.
Daigle. Did you
I-
have Alexandre Daigle on your team?
I feel I did, but I feel that maybe I'm thinking about it in Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
Okay.
I don't know if Kyle wants to fact check this. Kyle, like you may be off the hook with this, only if you really, really
We'll
want
need
to.
to stop making Kyle fact check things.
Hey. Okay. Next one here is this is a really interesting one. It's called Turn and Burn No Fly Zone. You know what this is?
No, I've never played. I've never seen this game be played.
So, I was never able to play it, and I don't even remember why.
Interesting. Quite the mystery.
I remember putting it in the SNES and opening it and then not being able to do it. Like I needed an outside component to be able to play this. It was weird. Like this is my memory of it. So you know what? If we plug this in tonight and we play a few games after this podcast or like whenever, I want to start with this one just to see what hell happened. Maybe there's a game there that we've yet to discover.
Maybe.
But from my recollection, I've never been able to play this game. So hey,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I have to say about this game.
Cool.
Oh, the next one, Super R-Type.
I've
ever-
never played that game.
No.
No. What is it about?
I will tell you in 3.3 seconds. So it's about I have no idea. I've played it so much, but it was one of these games where you died early and you had to restart all the time, and there was no way of going. Like I was never. I've said this often. I was never good at games. I love games. I was never good at them, and this one was never able to pass thresholds enough. So, and at a certain point, I would play for hours, but not able to get far. So I was always redoing the same thing, getting good at doing the same thing. But at some point, I would die, right? And at some point, you just don't want to replay everything again.
And what is it? Monsters? Side scroller?
So it's a side scroller. You're in a spaceship,
Okay.
okay, and you're kind of the side scroller. So it's scrolling, and there are enemies or things shooting at you. So you need to kind of evade them, going up and down and front and back.
Yeah.
And shooting whatever's the enemies that are coming in front, and that's it. Like it's cool. It's spaceship. I don't know why there's what looks like a T-Rex dinosaur on here, right? Like it's weird. I always thought it looked like a T-Rex dinosaur type thing, but I know that's not what it is.
It does look like some alien monster.
Yeah. But then again, you know what? I want to discover more about R-Type, and maybe that'll be a future episode in the future. Well, we'll dive. I don't know.
Sorry, it's not my type of games.
It's not your type.
No.
It's not our type.
It's not our type.
No.
It's not my type.
Then again, I played a lot, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be part of my top 5. Maybe not, but it wouldn't.
Really? That would cut your top 5 NES games.
One of the things that make me classify something as a top 5 is replayability, right?
Yes.
Replayability is huge. So if I'm always drawn to take that cartridge, put it in, and play, or emulate that same game, there's a reason for it. The thing is, where this might not make the cut is that I don't have long of the game that I've played because I always died too soon, but I played so much. Like how can you be so horrible playing a game and dying too soon and never learning how to get better?
Yeah.
Like I guess I never stuck to it long enough. So maybe it won't make my top 5, but still I still really enjoyed having that game.
Yeah, and you know what? I think there's another game that you're gonna reconsider in your top 5, and that's NHL. The reason for that is, while NHL is one of the game that you always play the most, there's no nostalgia attached to it because you played it throughout its evolution. And even now, you give me an NHL game on the SNES or an NHL game on the PS5, I'll take the PS5 any day.
Yeah.
It's gone a lot better.
Unless you're in a different mood, right?
No,
You don't have a
Anytime.
retro game mood?
not for NHL.
So tonight, if we play, you wouldn't want to play NHL at all. Like you're like, no, I'll never play this ever in my life again because we have NHL 25.
I just don't think it's fun. Now that the types of control that you have in NHL games
It's
nowadays,
different, right?
it's very different and it's a lot more accurate than it was back then. And I like the accurate part of it.
We talked about it, me, G, and Scotty, on an episode that already aired, about the NES game Blades of Steel. Right? And we were talking about that. And I had recently played. And yeah, it's old and stuff, but I played for a solid 30 minutes. And it was
30 minutes.
30 minutes. And for me, man, 5 minutes is big. 5 minutes of playing a game is a lot.
Have you played it since then?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But 30 minutes was what I needed at that moment. I got to relive this game, relive the sounds and the the when I say sounds, it's not all music because there's sometimes a voice that says like Blades of Steel, and then Face Off, like stuff like that. Which, by the way, in that episode, G and Scott were like, no. They weren't. They didn't say that. That was not the same game. And NES, they didn't have voices. And I'm like, yeah, I remember it pretty correctly. So within the episode, we didn't fact check. But after we did the episode, they fact checked and they were blown away because we took our Miyu Minis out, showed them, and it did exactly what I said. And they were like, "What?
Wow.
As if it talks in there." I'm like, hey, you had me doubt. They had me doubting.
Yeah, but again, you're talking about replayability.
Yeah.
And you played that half hour, you got it out of the way. And the same thing happened for me with ice hockey on the Nintendo Entertainment System. That was one of the games that I played a lot when I was a kid. And it was the first hockey game that we had. You know, there was this tall guy that's really, really quick. Then there's the medium guy. And then there's the really big guy that's really slow, but has big slap shots and big hits.
Yeah.
That game was like the setting stone towards more hockey games, and I loved it. But played 15 minutes, then I was done. Never played since. The nostalgia aspect, as much as it can be there, it's not sustainable like other, like say Super Mario World or
There's an exception. So you're saying that about NHL games.
yeah.
If I give you NHL hits, that's the exception, right?
But there's so much nostalgia. There's
It
so
counts
much for us.
Nostalgia
I mean,
counts a lot, right? So if I say to you tonight, dude, we're playing NHL hits, which by the way, an NHL hits episode, we've talked about it already, will come. Like we will talk about, maybe it's going to be an arcade sports type episodes, which will include NHL hits. We'll see. But NHL hits is the exception because yeah, it's old time, but it's not the same. You can't even compare it to the new style NHL games because it was even in NHL 25. I tried like the most arcadic,
the 3-on-3, right?
not arcadic but arcadey version of it. Yeah, the 3-on-3, and it's nice, but it'll never be as you couldn't even miss a hit in NHL hits. You would ram people through the boards, and there was this satisfaction to it that
Yeah.
that was unmatched. So
you would get a hit in, and they would fly so high and land on their back. Like I think they would go maybe more than a meter up in the air.
that was crazy.
It was
What a
crazy,
game!
the shots, and then when you were on fire, it was just I don't know. It's so much arcade. It's too much arcade, but it works. I loved it.
Absolutely,
Completely loved that game.
Absolutely, can't wait to do an episode about
Yeah,
it.
can't wait.
But I think that's the exception, right?
Yeah.
So, but that being said, NHL '96 is what started it all for me in terms of NHL, and I really liked it. But again, when I play, it's like to relive the moment. Then I'm good for a while, but it won't be long. It will be maybe a game or two.
Yeah.
But Blades of Steel was still 30 minutes. I can remember. I remember like I was surprised after a bit. I'm like, no, I'm continuing this or
Yeah, that's good.
I'll-
Good timing. I
Yeah.
mean, you usually last a game or two, and that's it.
because again, I sucked for a long time, and then at some point, like after maybe 20 minutes of investment in this game, I finally knew how to score.
And you didn't suck as much.
Didn't suck as much, so I wanted to play for at least a good 5-10 minutes with being good. All right, so which brings me to the next game, which is I don't know if anybody in the world ever owned this game beside me because I remember getting this game. It's called Aaah, Real Monsters from Nickelodeon. So, camera 1, 2,
Camera Peel.
3, camera Peel, Peel
Real
Vision.
Monsters.
Aaah, Real Monsters. So I guess it was a show on Nickelodeon.
It was. I remember the show.
Really?
I didn't watch the show, but I remembered seeing the commercials.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So I have this because it was one of 2 games that I got at a pawn shop.
Okay.
You know what the other game was?
What was it?
Can you try to guess?
The jet game.
Yeah.
I've never wow.
Nice. Actually, we cheers on this show. Oh man, where's the beer? We still need to cheers. Thank you. I'll drink the rest of it. So yeah, so that was the second game, but I played this more than I've played R-Type. This is going on my top 5 because I played it. So the way that it works is that there are 3 monsters, and they're all like following each other. And depending on I don't remember which button, but there was one of the buttons that you press, and and the lead monster in front that you control would change, right? And they all had a specific trait
Okay.
to them. One was he was really long, right? So he could do a thing where he would propulse himself like far, and then they would all follow.
So depending on the type of situation or enemy that's in front of you, you would choose a certain character that would give you an advantage.
Exactly. Or
Okay.
sometimes these types of games. It's not side scroller, right? Like you move, but you can go back. Like it was like a Super Mario World type thing.
Yeah.
So it was just a good feel of a game, right? Wherever you were, and you had these 3 monsters doing their different things, and yeah, sometimes you just needed to get from one place to the other. Okay, this is the one I want. Okay, this one has this superpower, and so this is what I wanted to do, and you had to figure that out, which made it cool. I didn't finish the game. I didn't get really far
Okay.
because I sucked at playing games.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. I was better at N64. I have to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got better. But no, this. I'll put it right here.
Yeah. And you know what? I just want to add on my SNES side of things.
Yeah.
One of the things that I liked the most about the SNES is there was the Game Boy game adapter. So you had a cassette that was
Yeah.
a little bit taller. Maybe
Put
I'd
your
say,
Pokemon game in there.
Yes,
you
exactly.
go.
Any Game Boy games that you wanted. And sometimes the corner of your screen would become a certain way. It's like decorating your game, and then you would play it on your TV.
Okay.
Which back then I could play Pokemon on my TV instead of playing other SNES games. So I found that they just knew what to do to get people hooked on this console. It was really good, and I think to this day it's still one of the most loved consoles out there.
I think so because, and I was saying that to you earlier. I did a post a few months ago, which had, a cartoon having the choice of press two buttons. One was, and the question was, you have 15 minutes where you can play one of these two consoles, and that's it. Which one are you choosing, right? And it was SNES or N64, and me being a very big N64 fan, I love the SNES,
Absolutely.
but N64 for me is my favorite.
Don't touch the 64, bud.
You do not touch the 64. It's too fragile.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but I want it to last another 100 years. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So being a big fan of N64, I thought it would be 50-50 at least, but it turns out it was at least like a 90%,
90.
well, 80 to 90. Like we could check, right? And maybe we can, and maybe it's not even that, but who knows? But it was really overwhelming how many people preferred SNES. One of the reasons was because SNES games are more pick up and play. I have 15 minutes. I don't have time like an N64 games. Like I tried to play Conqueror's Bad Fur. There was such a long introduction.
There is, yeah.
Right. And to get started before you get your first save, and like at least until the first save, when you get, so if you have 15 minutes, people were more pushed towards the SNES. But even without
Interesting.
that concept, overwhelmingly way more SNES fans than N64.
But also, I think the PlayStation 1 came out a little bit after the N64.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people went towards the PlayStation rather than the N64.
Maybe.
So that's when the crowd started
diluted.
to divide, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the crowd diluted. Maybe that's probably and the older crowd stuck to what they had. Well, when did the Genesis come out? Right, it wasn't the Genesis during the SNES.
I think
It was. I think the SNES was competing with the Sega Genesis,
no,
and then N64 PS1.
no. I think the Game Gear. I think the Dreamcast was at the same time as the PS1 and the
Yeah?
N64.
Dreamcast came a little later than the N64. That's for sure.
Okay.
Again,
Which one are you talking about then?
the Sega Genesis.
Oh, Sega Genesis.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
sorry,
was
sorry, sorry.
the brother or the rivalry of the SNES, I think,
Yes. I think it
with
was.
Sonic and all that.
Yeah.
I never owned it. Very, very curious about the Sega Genesis to a point where I would like to buy an original console just to have the real remote of the Sega Genesis and play its games and do a podcast about, like, knowing what the hell I'm talking about.
Sega had some really good games. Every time you opened your, my brother had a Sega Game Gear.
Okay.
So, the thing is about this wide,
Yeah.
and it's like this big handheld. That screen, it's a colored screen. The graphics were so far ahead of its time. Like, I don't know why it didn't catch on as much. I know it was really, really big, and my brother had one, and he had to carry this like big briefcase with all the games and the big Sega Game Gear and the plugs to charge it and everything. Like, it was this big thing. Maybe that's why it didn't work as much, but the games were unbelievable.
Yeah. Way better than
So
Game Boy.
beautiful, and just having that color screen, like I don't think that the Game Boy, like, it was way before the Game Boy Color. I don't know how many
Game
years
Boy
before.
Color.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. When did the consoles come out?
Game Gear was 1990 in Japan and 1991 in North America. But it was a colored screen.
Gaming console timeline.
Look
There
at
you go.
Sonic. Look at Sonic, bud. 1991.
Yeah, that was pretty special. From what we knew, so in 85 was the NES.
Okay.
Okay, and then the Sega Master System. Okay, so that's not a Genesis. That was in 86. Atari 86. Sega Genesis 89. And then
Okay.
the Game Boy, Nintendo Game Boy 89. Sega Game Gear 90. Oh my god. Super Nintendo came 2 years after the Genesis. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo?
Super Nintendo came in 91 when the Genesis came in 89.
Okay.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And you know what? I'm looking at the games for the Game Gear, and they look a lot like
Sega.
the SNES games.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for a handheld,
Okay.
which is 1992, 1994. So it was, in what time was the Game Boy Color?
Game in 98.
7 years later. So there was the color screen 7 years
Wow.
before the first Game Boy. And Game Boy Color wasn't even a color screen.
The second
There was
Game Gear
colors
in
in
90.
the screen. But Game Boy Advance was the actual backlight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, for the Game Boy, which we'll do an episode soon. I remember, and G said that in one of the pre-episodes we did back then, where, when you were in the car, you couldn't see, so and your parents didn't want you to open the light in the car because it would blind the driver, which I get now as a dad. So but we were driving. There was the lamppost. So when you get close to the lamppost, nice, I can see for 2 seconds.
Then you pause it and you wait until the next lamppost.
Exactly. And which was fun because it was always Pokemon. I played on my So there was the PlayStation in 95, then in 96 the N64. So very close.
Okay. So yeah, maybe the crowd went with PlayStation 1 and then they didn't go for the N64. Maybe that's why it split.
Maybe, man, because it came out first, the PlayStation, right? So they got attached to it, and then
PlayStation was revolutionary too. Like it differed away from, I guess the Mario, like the N64 was more kind of square 3D.
Mm-hmm.
While I think PlayStation 1 was still in a 2D, but a very detailed 2D.
Yeah, it was weird, dude. It was the evolution from the cartridges to the CDs.
Yeah.
Like
The
they
CDs, that's
evolved, right? So it was very different. And it came before.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo, no, we're sticking to cartridges. There must have been a reason, right? We'll probably go more in depth in the SNES-isode.
There's also the fact that there's a memory in those games.
There is a memory in those games.
And PlayStation, you needed a memory card.
That's right. Because you couldn't write on the CD.
No, exactly.
So that is an advantage from the cartridges. Let's bring them back. Yeah. 96 N64, 98 Game Boy controller, and then so we were talking about later the Dreamcast came in 99.
99.
Yeah. So and in 2000 was the PlayStation 2.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I think that maybe the Dreamcast didn't do so well which I loved. I had 3 games that I had and played and really loved of the Dreamcast, which was Crazy Taxi #1.
Yeah.
NHL 2K.
NHL. Okay. Yeah.
And I remember Alfredson and Sean McEachern.
Okay.
Yeah, being the 2 guys.
And that was like the competition to EA Sports.
Absolutely. The 2K games. Yeah.
And that was cool. They had their advantages, but I think you can't go wrong with EA Sports, right? It's just a staple, and
yeah, it is. Yeah, they are who they are, and they make good stuff.
During the game.
But you always need competition.
Absolutely,
you always need competition.
Yeah.
And Sarge's, Jesus, the little green army men. How do you call them? It's called Army Men. Sarge's Heroes. Jeez.
Oh my.
Yeah. So if you want to take a look here, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I had that on the Dreamcast too, which was really fun because I remember the feel of you're super small, but you're in a world where everything's big, right? So you're like in a living room. So when you're walking, like there's the big couch and like, so that feel, so you felt like you're in a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah.
That's awesome. Or you know what it reminds me of? And again, going back to the SNES where there was some games about movies, Toy Story. And that might have been later. I might be mistaken. I remember playing a Toy Story game that was kind of like the same principle, right?
I think it was on SNES.
Was it SNES?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Fact check. Toy Story is a 1995 platform by Disney for the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo Entertainment, Game Boy, and Microsoft Windows.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it made it to everyone.
Those were good games, man. I loved it.
The
'Cause
movie games.
Yeah, and then you watch the movie, and then I want to play the game, and it always lived up to the hype, because it's side scrollers and it's basically all the same kind of games.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nice. Nice. Hey, so I think that pretty much covers what we wanted to talk about today.
cool.
So, which sucks at the end of this, when we want to do our last cheers, is we never have beer left, but we still need to do it. Because on this show, but on the show we do cheers. So, hey, thank you for being here today, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great conversation.
See ya.
Bye. Bang, bang.